Welcome to Sampstra Games, the place to find new strategy games, and today I'm going to continue with my All Objectives Complete guide in Unity of Command 2. This time we're going to be doing the Gothic line. Now we start off in the tactics window because I forgot to hit record and I don't have the starting map, but there is a light to lead us out of this dark tunnel, and that's, we are going to be doing it in the playthrough mode. Okay, so let's start off with the tactics. So first, let's talk about the British command and the focus on sort of this half of the map. All you have to do is take Rimini, and you want to take Rimini on around turn, I guess, 4 or something like that. You don't necessarily need to push anywhere forward in here, just kind of stay on Rimini and hold. You don't really need to try to push forward, there will be others doing it for you. So the British people, all they have to do is stand there. Therefore, you don't need as many units, so grab all this whole group and tell them all to go to the US side. You can also take some of these if you'd like. And therefore, you're going to need to move the British HQ a little bit more sort of like in this general direction so that it has an area of influence here towards Rimini, but also here near Apennine Pass. Okay, so try to get that. Okay, so we've got Rimini. Now let's talk about the others. So when it comes to Monte Pisano, what you want to do is you want to surround it like this and essentially unsupply. There's a railway over here and they have a supply hub here. So you want to start off on the beginning by moving there with a unit and blocking it. So you need to hold that railway. Then I like to place my units on this side as well so that they don't take a step away from Monte Pisano. You can let them step away, but then you have to fight them. If you manage to unsupply them on turn 2, which you should be able to do pretty easily, then they will get suppressed all of their steps and you can easily kill them. So that's why I prefer to keep them in if possible, because it's easier for you. In the meantime, the majority of your force is going to be focusing on breaking through Abetone Pass and Apennine Pass. The focus here is on Abetone Pass because you need to get through here. You should be able to get through around turn 5 or so. You might get lucky and do it earlier. If you do it later, it's still doable, but it's really good if you do it around turn 5. So you need to break through these units, kill them, and then you need to grab at least, I would say, 2 tanks, and you need to move the tanks here. Once the tanks are here, they want to grab the supply, and then you want to move one of your tanks over here on this supply line. If you manage that, you will then unsupply this entire area, including the people on Apennine Pass once you take over this supply. And as a result, it will be pretty easy for you to take Apennine Pass and Varenna on turn 9. Alright, so let me just start off from the beginning. So first thing you're going to get is Monte Pisano. After you unsupply them exactly on turn 5, there'll be suppressed steps. You can take it easily. Around the same time, you should have Rimini, and you should try to break through Abetone Pass. Then you want to place your tank over here, and then you're going to unsupply Ravenna and Apennine Pass, which you'll be able to get around turn 9. Now, the difficult thing with this tactic is La Spezia, because you need to get it on turn 9, and the units here, it's really hard to get towards them. So what you want to do, once you break to Apennine Pass, you want to take your infantry and move them through sort of from behind. Don't try it with tanks so that they can get through there. And you want to push your infantry through here as well, and you want to start pushing there pretty soon, around turn 3 to 4. Essentially, any time that you don't need your units to focus on Abetone Pass or Apennine Pass, you want to push through towards La Spezia and try to get any kind of foothold that you can. Any 1 hex is good because you really need to push through so that you can get it on turn 9. And then, you know, then you're going to be attacking from here. You should have 1 or 2 units like this, and then they're going to keep using things like feint attack to hit them up. Now, lastly, remember that both Abetone Pass and Apennine Pass are not cities. So you can use things like airstrikes without worrying to turn the city into ruins. Alright, and now let's begin. So like I said, I lost the footage of the battle preparation, so essentially what I did was I tried to fix all the bridges I could and build additional bridges wherever I could, mainly on the main river near Firenze. And then I added any steps I could, and I bought some extra specialists where I could, just because I had the prestige for it. I didn't really move any supply hubs yet, so let's go. Oh, and I also moved my HQs forward so you can see where my US and British HQs are. So first thing I'm doing is I'm trying to push through in between Firenze and Montepulciano. So I'm trying to figure out which unit has the best odds and then moving it forward. I start this off with suppressive fire. They have a rear guard, so they actually have to go back, which is really good for me. And then I'm using suppressive fire on this other unit as well. This one don't have a rear guard, but with the tank we can actually do a 0-2, which is quite nice. And we're going to continue with some other profitable attacks that we can do. Then on the left, I'm trying to push forward. Now, because of the tank's zone of control, we couldn't move further, but you can move through zone of control if like an adjacent unit is standing there, because it's essentially like protecting you. So that's the trick I used with the tank. So I was actually able to move the tank there and get closer to the supply hub that we want to take next turn, as explained in the tactics. Then I'm kind of just moving my units around the people in Montepulciano to make sure that they can maybe step into my railway or something. I'm trying to push towards Abetoni Pass with the airstrike on the tank, as you can see right now. And I have a lot of abilities. I have around 8 points on the US command, and my suppressive fire costs only 1 point, so I'm trying to use it on wherever I can, because I can use it a lot, so it's a good ability. Unfortunately, as you'll see, towards the unit around Apennine Pass, the suppressive fire is useless, so we have to use feint attacks, which takes a lot longer, as it's not nearly as cheap for me. It costs 3 instead of 1, so a little bit more difficult. Alright, next I'm moving some of the British units towards the US area. I mean, it's not the US area, but the area of the US HQ, because you really don't, for the tactics I explained, you don't actually need many units on the British side, because the British side, it's only pushing towards Rimini, so you need some priests and engineers, but otherwise you don't need like anything too extra. So that's why I'm like trying to move the units away so where they can be actually useful. Here again you can see I'm trying to check like which abilities are good to use. I used set piece attack. Remember, with the set piece attack you cannot move away after, so you want to make sure that if you're gonna use it, that you don't need another unit to step into the same position. So that's why I didn't use it with the unit on the railway, but with the adjacent one. Next up, I repaired this bridge. This is very important because this will help your supply get through towards Rimini a bit easier. So repairing that bridge is pretty important. You can do it like on maybe the next turn or the turn after that, but you'll have to do it before you get Rimini or so. I mean, not necessarily before you get Rimini, but you should get it soon. That's the point. And the other bridge I fixed, that one was not that important, but it was still useful. I'm trying to move my HQ a little bit, but so far I don't really have any great position to go there, so I'm gonna wait till I can control the hexes in between the two areas I control, I guess. And only then am I going to move the HQ, because right now it wouldn't be really effective. I apologize for this moving. I accidentally moved the camera and I was trying to get back the same orientation, but I couldn't really figure it out easily enough. Alright, so that was the end of turn 1. And now it's time for turn 2. So we're going to do one of the most important parts, which is to get this supply. And then we're going to... We unfortunately can get there with the tank, so we'll move there with the other unit. And step with the other units down here to make sure that they don't step into our area, so to speak. And then, as I said, we need to push towards Albertino Pass. You don't need to fight the people in Montepulciano or in the tank, at least not right now. So don't try to waste their abilities unnecessarily. You might, if you let them retreat, then you might need to fight them, right? So then you want to worry about it, but I'd really rather not. So I'm going to try to push some of my units there, if possible. I had a playthrough where I actually didn't push there, so I didn't move this unit that I did right now. And it worked as well, it just meant that you had to fight them off a bit more. But you can see I'm pushing with the tanks to try to get to Apenina Pass as well. Because it's really difficult to kill the people there. They're fortified, they have a lot of steps, and the only useful thing is feint attack. Okay, this is important. So we're taking control of the railway. Now it's the complete railway. Before we didn't have the thing about Firenze. That's very important. You need to be there because if the enemy steps into it, then you're going to lose your supply. So you need to have units standing there, even if they don't do much, to protect it off. You're going to see what happens if you don't. Yes, made a mistake. Bit of a spoiler. It's not a big deal. We'll still do it all in time. Obviously, this is a guide, so I'm not showing you anything where we wouldn't make it. But I think it's a nice thing to see like how much it can affect you, because it's not something that you may not like realize if you play. But here I had some leftover points. I was trying to decide, do I go for Apenina Pass? Do I go towards La Spezia? And I was like, I'm just going to use it on the Apenina Pass because the unit that I used it on right now, it is out of supply. So it's actually not going to get that step reactivated. It's going to remain suppressed. That's pretty good for me. And then I'm moving the British units that I got closer previously towards the positions where I need them. Alright, time to focus on the British side of things. Start with some suppressive fire. And some more. Now here I'm really checking like which units have the priest artillery. The one with the chevrons. Thank you, by the way, for the person who told me how it's called. Because remember that they're not towed, so they can actually move and still use their ability. With the dot, artillery can't do that. So I was kind of checking like which unit do I need to move forward to use suppressive fire. Keep that in mind when you're playing, because it makes a big difference. And here I'm just moving the tank forward because I need to control the spot where I want to place my HQ, which is what I'm doing right now. And now you can see I both can have the area of control towards the Apenina Pass and the Rimini, so all of the people can use their abilities. That's very important. It doesn't seem like a big thing, but it's really a big deal because the US guys on their own, they can't handle Apenina Pass because they need to focus on the Abettino Pass. Because my feint attack is so expensive, maybe if your feint attack just costs like 1 point, then sure you can do it, but in my case it's not. And I'm placing some supply hubs to make sure that I'm well supplied. And that I'm also having the supply in kind of like the best positions for me. Enemy didn't really do much, just moved one single unit. Alright, now we can see that Montepulciano is completely out of supply. They're already out of supply for 2 turns. 1 turn, sorry, maybe just 1 turn. Yeah, probably just 1 turn. Okay, never mind. But the point is that they're out of supply, so by turn 5, it's going to turn 3. You will be easily able to kill them off without them having any abilities. Now at this point I was kind of contemplating, do I use the set piece attack? I will not be able to attack them anymore this turn, but it would do some pretty nice damage. So I was trying to figure out, like, is that the best choice or not? Eventually I decided I'm just going to use airstrikes because that might allow me to have some better shots, but it kind of didn't. So attempt number 2. Still not great. 1-1 with 30% chance of retreat is... I'd like something a little bit better. So essentially I decided to do a feint attack, step away with them and let somebody else move in. But I was hoping they would get better, but now we have 1-1 with 50% chance of retreat. So I was like, I'm just gonna kill the Tang and, you know, do it later. You have time, it's only turn 3, so it's just like... Another feint attack. And now we get cheaper feint attack, which is actually quite good. Now at this point the tank is stuck, it can't get out. So we're just gonna have to wait for the next turn. Using some feint attack on the Apenina Pass as well. And another one. So as you can see, we keep focusing on the Apennine Pass, and I'm trying to kill off the enemies there. And we did pretty well. We destroyed an entire unit. We don't have enough movements to move in. That's okay. Next up, we'll try to move towards Auspicia. We can't move there much because we need to keep the other units around Monte Pisano to stop the people from running away. Kind of like... we tried to move there, but we can't exactly run away yet. We're back to the British side. We're focusing on Rimini. And now we destroyed the unit in Rimini, and we can step in, take over their supply, but more importantly, step in. Now sometimes the space in front of Rimini is pretty empty. I wouldn't recommend like trying to push too much forward, because the units are pretty strong now that they're not unsupplied yet. So they could destroy some of your unit needlessly, so you can just stand on Rimini, really. Seems like a waste when you're playing, because like I could do stuff with these things, but not necessary. Now I'm just placing supply to make sure that everybody's in supply. Alright. They again did very little movement. Right, now we should try to break through Apennine Pass. Turn 4. And we gotta get that unit away. Gotta get this going. Okay, so we're gonna start this with the 0-1 and 0-2. And then we can step in. We did it. This is the most important part, I would say. It's not the most difficult part, but it's the most important one. And then, like I said, you need to get your tanks forward and you need to get your infantry. And infantry to the left, your tanks to the right. That's what we're gonna do here. Right, then we're trying to move forward towards Apennine Pass as well. You can see the suppressive fire is completely useless, so again, all you can do is feint attacks. Specia the same, set piece attack and suppressive fire don't do much, so we tried to go with feint attacks, but I mean they do get resupplied, so unless we can do some really high damage, not that great. But it's all we can do, so we try. Except I'm trying some airstrike, you know, just like anything to get them down. It was pretty good. I'm placing another unit there to kind of be ready for fighting. Now this movement of the tank away from the supply hub, that was a mistake. And you're gonna see soon that the mistake gets punished. But I think it's a good teaching moment, I guess. Or something, you know. It's not a losing the tactics moment, it's just a bit of a problem. Actually, one of the reasons why I don't necessarily like if you have like really big maps, because there are a lot of places where you just need your units to kind of stand to protect something. And if you have like really big map, like Advanced Urbis, for example, Advanced Antwerp, I should say, then you have to really focus on making sure that you don't mess up by just like moving your units away, just like we did right now. And yeah. So that's why I prefer if the maps are small, because it's easier to sort of know where you want to go and how, and you can focus more on attack. So this is exactly what would happen. The tank moves in, and now everything is out of, well, not everything, but most of the thing towards Abetoni Pass is out of supply because I don't have the railroad. So I need to destroy this thing. This is the utmost priority. Now you see I don't have actually any good odds, so I'm going to have to use airstrikes and suppressive fire and all sorts of things to just, you know, destroy it, because I can't afford it being there. Now also, most of my units are actually away, so I don't even have that many units that could even get to the tank. So that's another big problem. Like, the British are not close enough, and neither are the US, so it's like... This is exactly a problem, like, if this happens to you. But we're doing what we can, right? So we're gonna try to attack it from all over the place. We can't quite make it to a retreat. So, and we don't have any other unit that could move there. I mean, except this one, actually. Yeah, but it's still there. So it's alright. Next time we can kill it though, and then it's gonna be fine. But it certainly is a bit of a wrinkle in our plans, I would say. Then we can kill the people in Monte Pisano, because you can see now that they're completely suppressed. So we can now destroy them, and now we have control of Monte Pisano. And we want to repair that bridge over there to get supply through that supply railway. Alright, next up we're focusing on the British side again and kind of making sure that we're killing some of the completely suppressed units, because why not? The tank that I've chosen to place in front of Germany is pretty strong, so I'm not too worried about it dying. Same with the infantry unit, but I would be worried about weak units. Now, this is the second super important part. I resupplied that tank when I could, and now I'm moving it over there, and now all of the enemy units there are completely unsupplied, which is huge. Next up, I'm doing recon, because if you do sort of recon with your unit, like you discover a new enemy unit when you move, then the movement stops and the unit stays there and doesn't have like many points to move afterwards. So that's why it's sometimes better to do recon in advance. And then the infantry is moving towards Auspicia from behind, like we explained in the tactics. Here I'm just doing feint attack because I want to start to get going there. And then we do feint attack here. Set piece attack is what I meant to say. Yeah, I took some 1-1s because I wanted to sort of speed up the progression on Auspicia. And then I'm moving these tanks to block the people on the Apennine Pass, because they could do the same thing as the enemy tank did. They could try to step on my railway, so we can afford that, right? So that's why I'm like, we gotta focus on that. Then another thing I tried to do is I tried to place a supply hub to positions where they would be supplied from the railway on Livorno, and then I could supply the enemies in case because I can get that tank away. Next thing I did, I'm using my cards. I'm not using them because I need them, but the problem is because I had filled cards, I couldn't see what the new cards get, and if the new cards are fixed, like for example, if every time you get Rimini, you would get airstrikes, and I like to use them because it's a fixed thing and everybody gets the same reward. So then, yeah. So I just wanted to get rid of the cards to use it up. I'm not using their abilities because you might not get the same ones, so. Okay, we destroyed the tank, so we're all good. Our supply is back. Everybody's happy again. And it's all fine. Now this tank is out of supply for the second turn, the green one. So we're going to have to move it towards back to Bologna, where we actually have a supply. So we're going to do that soon. with this other thing, I'm moving around just to try to get a bit more hexes in my control. And here we can finally push forward towards La Spezia. This is a very important breakthrough on turn 6. This is going to help us a lot. We can't move any closer right now, but that's okay. The point is that we're ready for later. And we're going to move from behind just like we said. I'm removing some of the supplies so I can later move them around because I didn't have any left. Like these two on the British side of things under Rimini, they're not, well, only one of them was necessary. And now I'm moving forward here and trying to push in. It might be a little soon. You could do this maybe next turn or the turn after next turn, but I was able to do it already. Like what I mean is if you're worried about your unit's safety, you might want to stay in Rimini for an extra turn or two and then do this sort of push in to kill off the enemies once the enemies are a little bit weaker because they don't have the supply. Doesn't matter. Now we're moving the HQ. Actually, at this point, I've kind of decided to sort of abandon the British side of thing with the British HQ and focus really on Apennine Pass because the people in Rimini didn't need help. With just regular attacks, they can kill them off. They don't need anything extra. But the people in Apennine Pass, they do. So it was like, yeah. Yeah, I used my airstrike on the La Spezia because, like I said, the La Spezia is probably the most difficult part with this tactic, and Apennine Pass is getting out of supplied. So you don't need to go crazy there. You can just essentially wait it out. So, or nearly wait it out. So that's why I was like, I'm going to use the airstrike on La Spezia because it's more important there. And more difficult on that side. 20% chance to win the city. I didn't want to use the suppressive fire. Alright, now you can see that my tanks are getting really out of sight, so I'm trying to move them back to Bologna, where they could get resupplied at least a little bit. And yeah, so just because you can't really place a supply hub there to connect it up. So we also got Apennine Pass right now, so that's very important. And we're killing off some of the leftover units because they have all steps suppressed, so it's really good for me. So now that we actually connected the Apennine Pass where the tank was, it would have been enough to get supplied, but we moved it around to a safer position. Yeah, what I was trying to do is I was trying to get the people out of Ravenna so that I could connect the supply towards that tank over there. But then I decided I can't do it. I don't have the movement. So I was just like, I'm just going to move it back to Bologna and then use emergency supply. And then I can move it back in. So that worked out pretty well. And you can see right now, I was going to move towards the HQ. But because we discovered a new unit, the tank stopped. And yeah, we're just pushing towards Ravenna where we can. Yeah. They are gone now. We can take it over and we have everything except La Spezia now. This is our next focus. But we did a really good move there, so it's all okay. I mean, we got closer and we have 2 turns to take La Spezia, which we should be able to pretty easily. The reason why I like this map quite a lot, and the reason why is because I feel like if you follow the tactic in this map, it's very easy to see the progress. There's some other maps where even, like, for example, Normandy Breakthrough was like that. Also, Advance to Antwerp, I feel like, is that like that a little bit. Like, you know the tactic, but even if you know the tactic, it's pretty prone to mistake, like the maps. Like, you can not focus on controlling the supply or something like that, and you can lose it. And even if you try to follow the tactics, you can pretty easily lose. This map is not like that. This map is like, generally, if you follow the tactics, you should be able to do it, just like we did it right now. So that's why I like this map quite a lot. Yeah, so as you saw with the supply again, the tanks on below now are fine. Alright, time to move to next turn. We moved the HQ away, which is actually nice of them. And yeah, the tanks are super fine now. They're like, we weren't stressed at all. And the enemy unit that was there just got like destroyed. I'll turn to stagglers, I guess. Stagglers. Okay. Alright, we're just getting off some leftover suppressed enemy units because we can, and I'm placing a supply just to make sure I don't accidentally out-supply myself on the last few moments, which would be kind of irritating. And now it's La Spezia. It's La Spezia time. I actually spent a pretty long time trying to decide if I want to use a feint attack or set piece attack. Or what? Like, what is the best tactic? Like, if I can move away, what is the good thing to do here? But, yeah. Eventually I chose to do a set piece attack because, yes, it means I can move out. But it really hurts the enemy, so I thought that was a good idea. And then with the next attack, we managed to push them away. And we got last pieces, so now we got everything. Oh, you have one turn to spare. So you don't really need to worry about it. It's all good now. Alright, and this is how you take Gothic line. I was checking this because I wanted to go for an extra turn, and I wanted to check if everybody's in supply so that I don't turn my people into stragglers or something like that. But it turns out I actually didn't need an extra turn because the unit that you see there, the enemy, they're both out of supply for 3 turns. So they will get turned into stragglers by themselves upon the end of the next turn, so no need. No need to continue this. And I was really contemplating, do I put the supply hub there or not? Because if I do, then the enemy could step on it, right? And then we're supplying him for no reason, and I didn't want to do that. I was like, but I also kind of wanted to protect my own units. I was like, well, do I do it? Do I not do it? You know, I was really like, yeah, no, thinking about it. And then I figured out that I can just step a unit there, kill off the enemy, and then I can place it there. And I did that. Alright, and now it's time to end the mission. We got everything we needed. And we finished all the objects. Alright. Hope you enjoyed this guide. If you did, write down in the comments. And I'll see you in Advanced Antwerp. Bye-bye. Mama.